Coming up on this episode of the Upper One podcast, we find out what is uniquely Alaskan that some people may not know about. Stay tuned.
And now, podcasting from the great state of Alaska, this is the Upper One Podcast.
Welcome back to the Upper One podcast. This is season 2, episode 7. All in all, episode 25. I want to thank everybody for listening. You guys have gotten me to where all of my episodes have been listened to at least 10 times or more. And that's just pretty cool. Hopefully, I'm expanding. Hopefully, by liking and sharing my podcast, you guys can get the word out and other people will see it that won't know anything about it. And, that aren't on my friends list or whatever. And I can expand a little. So yes, again, thank you for listening. Let me just start this by, letting y'all know that, stuff that's been going on with me. As you heard, the intro music, it kind of sounded a little new. Well, that's me playing the guitar. Eric being gone, he's been gone a month now since he's moved to North Carolina. He showed me this little jingle while we were, sitting playing guitar one night, and he learned to play that with the guy that taught him how to play guitar. I don't know if there was beers or what involved, but probably some beers, and it sounded cool. And I talked to him, and he's like, "Yeah, let's use it." So I'm trying to shore it up, make it a little better. I've got tugging on the ears of Mr. Ben Carey, Elvis Monroe, to hopefully help me out. I know he's real busy, so when that happens, it'll happen. But moving on, it's been a while, but some stuff that's been going on with me. On September 2nd, my oldest sister welcomed her 4th child into the world, a little boy. So now she's got 3 boys and a girl. And then on October 3rd, my youngest sister welcomed her 3rd child into the world. And, since she's got married, she's acquired a stepson. So now she's got 2 boys and a girl at her house. So congratulations to them. With that being said, that gives my dad 15 grandkids, 4 between my brother, my oldest brother, my 2 sisters, and then my 3. So that's a total of 15. I'm sure my dad is absolutely ecstatic about having lots of grandkids. So one of the first for me has been, of all the years I've been hunting, I finally got my first ever draw tag. Was for an antlerless moose, meaning I could shoot a cow. There are regulations. I can't shoot one that has a calf with it, which I didn't do, but I did fill my tag. And one of the things that I do is my wife and I, when we do go visit back home, we will take some of the fish, halibut, salmon, and other, rockfish, along with any wild game that I've processed and harvested. We'll take some of that home and share it with our family. And then we have the freezer box. We fill that with, authentic, like back home in Arizona where Shanna's from. They have little drive-through taco and burrito stands. So in Arizona, they call them burros. So I'm kind of been used to calling them burros and not burritos. But we will get quite a few of those. We'll get fresh tortillas, and we will pack that box back full and bring that home for us to have here. So that's kind of what we're going to do with some of that moose, that fresh moose that I just got. So years ago, any of you guys that know me or have heard us talk, we were big Alaska Aces fans, which was basically our minor league of the NHL team that we had here. Well, they kind of went away, and so we didn't have hockey here. But this last year, they came out and said we're getting a juniors team for the North America Hockey League. They are the Wolverines. Well, they've been on the road for 9 games because they haven't been able to have a home game yet. The same arena that the Aces played in, the Sullivan Arena, has been used for homeless housing since almost the start of the pandemic. So they're not ready to clear that out yet and get the hockey going back in there. So the Wolverines have unfortunately had to play their first 9 games on the road. They are coming back for their home opener at a different arena. It's actually the arena that most of the high school games play at. That will be October 15th, 16th, and 17th, but they're coming home with 5 wins, 3 losses, and an overtime loss. So pretty excited to see what's going on with that. I'm going to keep my ear open and keep, stay interested in what they're doing, whether I go to games or not, because one of their goalies was a boy that in 2012, when Eric and I coached baseball, well, we coached the majors, Diamond West Little League Mariners. He was on our team, so I've kind of got a interest in watching how he does. And then last but not least, my hockey season started last weekend. I'm sorry, weekend before last, because we just passed the weekend. And the Trustworthy Hardware team is, we won our first game. We had to come from behind against the military team called the Warriors, but we did win 2-1. And then this last weekend, we were up 1-0, and the refs had their whistles stuffed somewhere besides in their mouth, and they didn't call a penalty that I think would have changed the outcome of the game a little bit. But because of that non-call, the other team got a goal, and we were fortunate to hold on and tie the game. So we are 1 win, no losses, and 1 tie. And the cool thing with that is I was thinking about this, and I kind of told my wife and a couple friends that in hockey, you get points based off of goals and assists. Well, there's another stat. It's called the plus minus. And for the first game, I was on the ice for one of our goals, and I was on the ice for a goal, that our one goal in the second game. So right now that's +2. And then if you count that I was not on the ice for any of the other team's goals during those 2 games, I don't get a minus for that. So right now I'm sitting +2. And I've been on the score sheet the first game because I had a little incident where the referees didn't call a slash. And, if it had been any different, or I hadn't been wearing a glove, I might have a broken wrist. Where the guy basically tomahawk chopped his stick across me twice. The first one hitting my glove, the second one, if I had a softer stick, I probably would have had a broken stick. And the ref's just standing there smiling and shaking his head like, yeah, it's a penalty, but I'm not calling it on you. So that upset me a little bit after the second one, and I kind of smacked my stick in a spot I shouldn't have, and they gave me an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And but I look at it this way: I got on the score sheet, so the result's still the same. We won that game, and it really doesn't matter. But that being said, I will be right back after the music, and we will start this episode. All right, welcome back. And I'm going to talk to you about something that's unique to Alaska and North America. Located under Maynard Mountain in the Chugach Range, you can travel 2.5 miles through the longest tunnel in North America. That is the Anton Anderson Memorial Tunnel. It runs from Bear Valley to Whittier. It was built in 1943 by the military to use as a supply route from the port of Whittier to inland Alaska. Like I said, it's the longest one-lane highway tunnel in North America. And eventually the military abandoned it. So it was put under construction to make the tunnel part of the Alaska Highway. So what they did was they laid down a concrete slab so that it would accommodate both trains and automobiles. So, that in turn made it the longest multi-use tunnel as well in North America. So what's cool about this tunnel? Well, first off, how do you police traffic going through a 2.5 mile long tunnel and traffic wanting to come out? So there's a schedule at 1/2 starting at certain times, but depending on the time of the year. 1/2 you can go from Bear Valley into Whittier. And they'll take traffic up to 15 minutes past the time they start traffic entering the tunnel. So, if you're going into Whittier, you've got up till 8:45, depending on the hour of which you're going in, to get there, get paid, and get going in the tunnel. And then it's the top of the hour coming back out of Whittier into Bear Valley. So the cool thing about that is traffic is controlled digitally by a control monitor. It's probably some sort of computer system, but when you go in, you pay your money at the toll booth going from Bear Valley to Whittier, and they'll tell you based on what type of vehicle you're in, which lane to go sit in and wait. And then once that time comes, it turns depending on which lane, it turns that lane green so you can start rolling, and then you come up to another traffic light, and it'll be sitting red for you, and then when the vehicle in front of you gets far enough ahead on the train tracks, it'll turn green and let you go. So it's computer controlled. And, like I said, there's 8 lanes of traffic when you get up to it. So they'll tell you based on your traffic, what kind of vehicle. I've been through in my mixer truck, and I've seen semi end dumps, the side dump trucks going through. So like I said, based on the size of your vehicle and what type of vehicle, they put you in the traffic line, and then there's a certain way that they prioritize who gets to go first and whatnot. But I've been through mostly with just the truck and the boat. So normal fees just going in is $12 for regular vehicles, and for me it's $22. But you got to realize that's for maintenance and upkeep and stuff like that. To have this unique item of interest at our disposal, I guess that would be an easy way to say, to be able to enjoy it. So that's pretty cool. Going, the way the traffic flows now during peak times during the summer. I know the time schedule is a little different because there is trains that go through, whether it's carrying tourists and passengers or not. They do have their own schedule, but most of the time the train will go through at the lower traffic times, when there's not a whole lot of traffic, because it's going to take that train a little bit longer to get through the tunnel. And I've never really looked to see how that screws up the time frame. Maybe they have an hour block or something in there where they're not letting anybody else in or out. That way the train can get in and get out whatever times. But so it's a 2.5 mile long tunnel. And with every tunnel like that, I know I'm sure the engineers over the years have improved them, but there's ventilation systems, and there are other items, safety measures implemented into these tunnels. So you're thinking, well, the train goes through, it's got exhaust. You got big semis, they've got exhaust, all these cars going through. Well, where's that exhaust going? Well, the cool thing that they've done was they put two jet engine fans at the entrances to each of these tunnels, and they blow air into the tunnel, forcing that exhaust and all that other air out through the vents. So it kind of sounds like when you're flying on a commercial airlines, and the jet noise from outside into the cabin, the way you hear it, it kind of sounds like that. A little different, but if you remember the hum of the commercial airlines, you're going down on these in your vehicle. That's what it kind of sounds like, but it's pretty cool because I think carbon monoxide from the exhaust is heavy, so it will sit lower, and these fans help to get that out of there. And if there were an emergency and somebody had to get out of their car, they're not breathing it in heavy doses. So the next item on this is, there are safety measures also implemented to where, if there was an earthquake or something, some kind of emergency, we all know the earthquake, and we had that big earthquake, 7.2 in November of 2018. So let's say that there were cars in that tunnel and they shut the tunnel down so people were safe. Well, every so often they have, muster rooms or safety rooms to get to. So if they had to get out of your car, you can get to a safe spot, a safe house. And I don't remember how far apart they are. It seems like they're 50 or 60 feet, 75 feet apart. But, every so often there's a little pull off. And, and then maybe if a car had to get, if there was an emergency in the middle of the tunnel and they had to send cars back out the other way or whatever to get the tunnel cleared, they've got room to pull cars off and get them out of the way or get them turned around to get out so emergency vehicles or whatnot could get in. So at each one of these turnouts, there is a room, and it's a little safe house. So, with that being said, there's a whole lot to this tunnel. To people go in and out of it all the time, and it's pretty cool, pretty simple to pull up and just pay your fees and get in, go see Whittier if you've never been there. I do know that one of the other stories, pods I'm going to do is going to talk about the inside passage, and the majority of the time when you're in that, you're on some sort of cruise ship or something. Well, Whittier is a stop for cruise ships. Since it is one of the ports up here, I've been in there and I've seen the big ships sitting at the. That's actually one of the first views you get when you come out of the tunnel and you're going around the corner into Whittier. There's been cruise ship or time or two there, and then at the end of the road, you can put your vehicle on the ferry system. I think my stepson's been on that, where they've, the company he works for, they just load up a couple trucks and trailers with all their tools and stuff and materials and put it on the ferry and go over to Cordova or wherever it doesn't have a highway access. So, there's lots of stuff to do in Whittier, lots of things to see. One of the tour boats out there is, one of their things is one of their full day cruises takes you to like 26 glaciers, which includes the Columbia Glacier out there that's in Prince William Sound. So for me, I look at it this way. That tunnel gives me the quickest access to get my boat on the water, get it out to where I can go fishing. But, with that being said, the fishing grounds are kind of a ways away, like 45 miles, I think. But But it is one of the cool things. I hope that if that interests you and you come to Alaska, that that's something you can see and be able to come back and tell people, yeah, I've been through the longest tunnel in North America. So with that being said, I will be right back after the music to close the show out. Well, once again, that's the end of the show. Thank you again for listening. Thanks for listening to the episodes up to this point. As I stated earlier in this pod, as a resident for something that's a big tourist destination like Alaska, your residents are your biggest salesman. Word of mouth gets around pretty good. So please like and share my podcast, Facebook page, Instagram page. Email address is upper_1_podcast@yahoo.com. If you have any questions or want me to, talk about something else, which I plan to do, but, if you've got any specific questions, please send me that email. I do have an idea that I got from one of my podcast pals, Travis Brown, about other ways to expand, and I'm still doing some research on that, but I will let you know if that's going to fall through or going to happen. That's just kind of another different way to expose the podcast and just move on and get things going. But speaking of Travis, I'd like to give him a shout out. The previous 2 episodes, kind of combined one episode into the 2 just because I'm in 2 different industries using those pod decks. That was pretty genius on creating those and even going virtual with the app. Man, that's pretty badass. I've actually, as y'all know before, I've been trying to get a certain someone on the podcast, and it didn't happen when they were here, but I do have it ready to go. I have the questions using the pod decks cards. So Travis, I can't wait for that to happen. Speaking of the pod deck cards in those episodes, I want to give a shout out to a guy. His name is Big Rob. His podcast is Chewing the Fat. He listened to my concrete episode. That's the one that I know he listened to. I'm sure he's listened to maybe 1 or 2 others. I don't know. But Big Rob, thank you. I just sent him another message because he responded to me about, some of the stuff in that episode on concrete, with the heat and all that stuff. And he lives in Georgia. So, with the freeze and the milder temperatures here in Alaska, we pour concrete a little different than 90 and 100 degrees down in Georgia. So Rob, thank you for listening. Congratulations again to both of my sisters on the birth of their newest children. I can't wait to come see them, which will be the end of January, the first part of February. The wife and I are making a trip to Vegas the 29th of January to go see Kiss. So we're going to round trip through New Mexico and Arizona to see our families down there. Hopefully on the return trip back to Vegas, we will be maybe catching a show or 2. I don't know what the schedule is going to be like, but my buddies Elvis Monroe, maybe my buddy Doug from Cashed Out, or even my other buddy Las Vegas Gene from Sin City Kiss. So might get a pretty decent trip. So again, this is Scott with the Upper One Podcast. Thank you all so much. Coming from the Eagle River Valley up in the Upper One state of Alaska. on the Upper One podcast. Until next time.
Ha ha ha.